Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast, the Mind Body Happiness Podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify or even watching it on YouTube, thank you so much. And I am joined today with Elana, the founder of Dynamic Transformation. And as you know, I'm always up for conversations where we can bring value to people's lives and have an empowering impact on people's long-term physical and mental health. That's what this podcast is all about. So I'm so happy and thankful that Elana has found some time in her busy day. Elana, you will be, by quite some distance, the furthest apart podcast, if that's what you want to call it, I have ever done. If I'm right, is it Cape Town, South Africa that you're in? Wow.
Correct. Yes, based in Cape Town, South Africa.
Fantastic. Now, we've had some conversations in the past, very empowering. You've put me on the path and been more aware of something called Psych K, and I'd love to learn more about that, and I'm sure the listeners will as well. And you've also got a book, which is amazing as well, an author. So that's fantastic. Before we go into our conversation, could you share a little bit more information about what you do, how you help people, and what you're all about?
Thanks, John. It's been quite a journey to get here. And I actually just was reminded of that yesterday when somebody just asked me, how did you get where you are? And it has been such an interesting journey, and just the stuff that we learn along the way. You know, you set out leaving school and you think you're going to have this kind of a career. And life took me on twists and turns. I was 28 when I started my first school. And that was out of necessity because I wasn't very happy with what our early school options were for my children. And I started out starting preschools that went into primary schools, that went into high schools. And that just catapulted me in a completely different area. I was office-based before that. And on this journey of building schools, educating children, I was then guided, or it's a natural occurrence that you also empower and coach people along the way. And that happened with staff, that happened with parents. And, you know, over the span of, so I've been doing this for nearly 3 decades. And over this span, of time, you know, people come back to you and they say to you, you know, when I was this age and you said X, Y, and Z to me, it has absolutely changed my life. Or somebody that has worked for me said, you know, that day after the staff meeting when you said this and we walked and I went and I took your advice and this. So that all just eventually came together in one thing that was like, what have I got here? What am I sitting on? And then with that, I then took the professional step to actually become certified, and people want to make change. Not everybody, but so many people want to be able to push that button and reset their lives. And I found that with Psych K, this is so possible. And it is such a beautiful tool. And I stumbled upon this by accident, and it was just divine timing that I stumbled upon this in the October, and by the January I was in the first workshop, by May the second training, and by the next January into the third. So I was able to go all the way to advanced so fast, and this is quite a couple of years ago. And then what happened was that it's a profound tool, and being able to help and assist people change their lives. We went into COVID, the tool came in handy. It helped professionally, it helped individuals. And I have a client base that regular clients who just pop in. For those who have done big shifts, like the core belief shift and that kind of thing, they will pop in for a little tune up of something small. But there are such nice tools in the Psych K modality that you can use that make huge changes. I mean, for someone that is searching for purpose, there's a life bonding experience. And in that life bonding experience, you get to experience, why were you sent here? Why did you come here? What did you want to learn? And what is the synergy that you are looking for? So you get an experience that is out of this world. The core belief is like a factory reset, and it just resets all those stumbling blocks and all those limiting beliefs that you've grown up with and then also
Mm.
accumulated. It resets that, and it's just absolutely amazing. The relationship balance helps two individuals, or it helps entities. It can help in a corporation and in an office, that kind of thing, or it helps two individuals communicate better.
Mm.
So what I use this, as you can hear, in a wide variety. And why I find it so beautiful and so powerful is together, for those who've read my book, together with the book and the information in there and using the Enneagram, I then go into the shadow
Mm.
and reset the childhood wounding.
Mm.
It's so difficult to say you reset it, but that's what it feels like when you come out of there. You come out of there like a new person. And you know, the wounding that we get as children, that's our toolbox that
Mm.
we need. That is the badges that like the scouts that get their
Yeah.
badges when on a challenge. That's our badges that we enter into the adult world with, and that's our tools. But sometimes these things trip us up. Yes, they've taught us beautiful things to survive, to become resilient, and all of that. But now we've got to unpack that a bit to become a bit more wholesome, and that's what I love. In essence, my area of expertise is going into the childhood wounding,
Mm.
package it in a way that it's not no longer painful for you. You
Mm.
actually just take from it what you need. You take the lesson from it, and the sting is removed, and you can just use that to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah, it's so powerful, and I think with the work that I do with helping people, trying to help people with their health, their well-being, um, it's usually they're finding themselves in a position that they don't want to be in because of those deep underlining things that
Yes,
keep pulling them back to that childhood formation. And I think is it first 7 years, which is the most
correct.
powerful,
Yes,
part of life when we're forming habits and
correct.
memories and everything else. And I find with a lot of my clients, it's all originating from there. And we have to be, and the person has to be ready and willing to at least start to take glimpses and look into that. If they're really going to make such big shifts in their life and really make the
Correct.
progress that they make. I think
Correct.
it's if someone says to me, "Oh, I just want to lose a little bit of weight, or I just want to get a little bit fitter," I just go, "That really? It's got to be more than that. Surely there's something else going on." So, um, what
Yeah.
are the what are the kind of things that say people come to you with in need of help? What are the kind of things that they're trying to fix, if that's what you want to call it?
So I'm going to throw a clanger out there for you. As you know, I'm also a cancer survivor of a very rare cancer, and I'm currently having a client that has now chosen to walk the cancer journey for the second time.
Wow.
Yes, and it is, you've chosen that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's, I firmly believe that you've chosen that for a reason.
Mm.
And and her and the journey that we currently walking is understanding what is at the bottom of all of this. And for her, it is neglect, not being accepted, abandoned by her birth mother, and that
Mm.
kind of thing, a lack of self-love. So we are in that space where we are resetting that, and even from the very first session, there has been improvement. So
Wow.
that's one client that I'm currently working with. The other, I would say to you, I've got a couple who have approached me to please work with them. Her childhood wounding and his childhood wounding have just created this very toxic environment. And with her not with him not showing her enough attention, she feels abandonment very, very quickly.
Mm.
And it's just bringing that to the surface and then making them feel safe in that space, and actually addressing the abandonment that took place as a child and the father figure abandonment that caused this relationship. And at the same time, because she's having the abandonment issues, she's also neglecting herself, and which then causes a vicious cycle, because she's having negative body talk. So that is quite that's quite a tricky one that we are navigating at the moment. But already in the relationship, there has been so much improvement. The other ways that I've used it is I've helped a couple of people connect with their businesses, where they didn't understand. They knew what they wanted from the business, but then the disconnect caused them to be so driven and letting themselves go, and not letting themselves go, but they weren't a priority because they had this big goal, and putting that into synergy and into balance, where you can have this goal, but you need to be taken care of in order for you to fully fulfill this goal. So that is creating that harmony and that balance in that situation. And that was quite interesting. So I've got this individual, this chap that has been taking to this so beautifully, and his business is thriving as a result of the work that he's doing with me, and putting in beautiful boundaries for himself, for the business, and allocating time to himself. So those are the kind of clients that I have at present. And funny story is that I actually also deal with a lot of the health issues. I don't understand why I binge eat, and we delve into that and we work on that. And at the root of that could be poverty in childhood, or obviously feeling nourished when you have. So I've got a lady that if life is too much for her, and she has all of a sudden had a stressful situation at work or with a client, she goes to eat. And it's just to nourish herself, not nourish herself, but to comfort herself.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for, because it was quite a stressful situation. And she has learned, as a child, she associated love with food.
Sure.
So yes. So it's the unpacking and unraveling of that love has no connection to food whatsoever. You should be loved for who you are, what you are, and not be paid in food instead of affection. So that's the kind of things that we work with. For children, anxiety is a big thing. It's personal expectations, the expectations of their parents, and they can actually enter into a cycle where this is just looping in their minds, causing them breakdowns. So I work with teenagers as well, just to obviously help them focus and balance on what is important in the moment and what they can do in the moment. So that's the kind of clients that I work with.
It's so powerful, especially when you talk about children and young people. I work with a lot of young people at the colleges and through lecturing, and we're seeing it so much more in terms of high stress, anxiety, leading to sleep deprivation, really powerful negative effects on their physical and mental health. And I think people, they get a bad rep. A lot of young people, that generation, nowadays generation, and I do believe it's not necessarily all of their fault, and they've been brought into a world where we've had such advancements through technology and connection. They haven't got the skills to deal with it well at all, and I'm sure the parents haven't got those skills either. So I almost call them a generation of sleeping giants. They have so much potential, so many fantastic ideas in their subconscious somewhere, but they're just sleepwalking through the whole process. And I just love it when you say root cause and really digging that deep, because I think for a lot of them, they need that, and they need answers, and then they can do something with that. And I think with what you're talking about and how you help people, I love it so much is because you're not just giving them something, you're not medicating them with something and go,
Mm-mm.
well, just do this and then it will all be good.
No.
You're empowering them and you're giving them vast amount of knowledge and skills that will surely live with them and their families for the rest of their life.
Quite correct. Quite correct. And oftentimes, once I've walked a path with a client, and they've become aware of the habit of, or just not the the way that they think. Once they've become aware of that, it's an absolute change. They
Mm,
think differently and they behave differently.
yes.
So it's quite, and psyche, I cannot explain to you how powerful is psyche with sleep deprivations.
Right.
People that struggle to sleep, and with the mind, because your mind is just looping itself over and over again, and there are a number of techniques that can be used to help with that, and it's just an absolute powerful tool to help calm your mind, and just sit in a space where you will be ready to go to sleep. And
Mm,
it's something that when I started the journey, I wasn't a good sleeper at all. I
mm.
sleep like a rock now. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that because one of the first things I address when I work with anyone, and it's people have this idea that they'll come to me and I get them exercising or I'll get them walking. And the first thing usually I ask is, so how is your sleep? 9 times out of 10, it's not very good at all.
Yeah,
So yeah, we talk about that pre-bed routine and setting the body and the mind up for good quality sleep. Um,
correct.
because what we're learning about sleep and the importance of sleep now is just, well, it's just crazy. So yeah, very, very powerful stuff. I think in terms of like how people work with you, they obviously can work with you in person or online, which is fantastic now.
Mhm.
Um, how would what is kind of the time frame of a journey? Say, I'm sure the journey is ever evolving, but when someone comes to you, what does that kind of look like, that process of taking them through in terms of time scale and how that happens and transfers?
So if I'm working with an executive that needs more confidence, in front of employees, that's usually about a 3 session.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
that's, yeah, about three
Wow.
sessions, one-on-one, for about 45 minutes. If I'm working with a parent that, as we are parenting, so we are all our own childhood wounding will also be poked by our children. So if I'm
Mm,
working with a parent that's raising a teenager, that could be a 10 session quite
okay.
easily. But at this, so what it would look like is that, initially we will find out I'm struggling. My child is causing me to lash out. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm shouting at him. And I'm quite interested, what is the feeling before the shouting? Because that feeling, and so we all know that rage and anger is a masking emotion, and
Mhm.
it's masking something really deeply rooted. So I'm quite interested in that split second just before the lashing out. What is that feeling? We investigate the feeling, we go and look at what the root of that feeling could be, and we work right there. And that is how we would go with from our first session. But
Mhm.
then it's like anything, it's got roots, it branches out. So if
Yeah.
you're a parent, we will then diversify and go into all the other areas. But what it would generally look like is, I've got a person saying, I'm struggling with confidence. Can I book a session with you? We then go and we have our first session, second session. By third session, the person is flying. We don't have, yeah. And then obviously they'll come back for little tune-ups because now the crowd is bigger, or the topic has changed, or that kind of thing. And we just delve into that.
Brilliant. No, thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important that people kind of have that idea and understanding of everyone's journey is different, right? So the different amount of time that may be needed may differ from person to person. And that's so refreshing for me because I think for a lot of people, they have this idea that there's a program that's just packaged just for, that someone's done work for them, so surely it's going to work for me. And I just think it's so empowering that when you're working with a mentor or a coach, it's very tailored to the individual, because look, we're all different. We all got different needs, and we've got different pasts and traumas that need the time to be worked on. So I love that, Elana. As always with this podcast, I always want people to go away with empowering things that they can plug in and do, not quick fixes, but things to be aware of. Now, nothing is going to be the same as working with you one-to-one, but is there anything that you can put out there that people can bring their awareness up and start to be doing on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis that's really going to empower them with how they're feeling mentally, physically, that's really going to empower them and the immediate people around them?
So in today's times, it's quite rushed. We've got so much that stresses us out. We've got so many obligations and responsibilities. And for me, I think the one thing that I've learned on this journey was have a look for yourself, what it's like if you have that 5 to 10 minutes in the morning after you've woken up. And even if it means that you need to set your clock for earlier, 5 to 10 minutes of just being alone, no cell phone, no nothing. And I'm not even going to tell you to meditate. I'm not even going to say anything like that. But that 5 to 10 minutes, just checking in with yourself. Who are you? How are you feeling? How was your night's rest? And then start your day before, instead of rushing out of bed, brush your teeth, grab the coffee, put the clothes on, out the door. So once you can compare the difference, so we like to do that when we are on vacation. We like to have a chilled start to the morning. But if you set your alarm for 15 minutes earlier, 20 minutes earlier, but now I'm already setting it for an hour earlier because it's just such a nice exercise. Yes. To just set that clock for a little bit earlier and have the time with yourself.
Yeah, find stillness.
Find the stillness for you. And who are you? And in that space, then visualize your day. What will your day look like? What is it that you want to achieve? You don't know what's in your diary. You can't remember what all you've prioritized, but visualize your day and then go out and do that. And tonight when you get into bed, check whether the two align and don't make the changes that need to be made so that they align. You've set the intention. Did it come to fruition? And if it didn't, what do you need to change? And that is just how I help my clients to just the picture that you see, let's put it together. And yeah.
Brilliant. No, I love that, Elana. That's so powerful in such a, like you say, busy, overwhelming world, just to find that stillness and that quiet time for yourself. I love it, I think, because it harks back to how we're still here and thriving. We had those times, but we probably don't have that opportunity as much as we should nowadays. So I think that awareness is very, very powerful. So thank you for that. Elana, where can people find you to find out more about what you do and how you can help?
So I have a website, Dynamic Transformation. And then also the book, you will be able to order on there. But I'm also on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Insta. So I can easily be found on any one of those. So it's dynamictransformation.guru. Or you can email me, Elana at dynamictransformation.guru. Yes, and you'll find all the info you need.
I love that, Elana. I'll make sure that those go in the show notes and in the comments so people can find them for sure. Elana, thank you so much. I could talk to you all day about this because it's important and more people need to hear it, that people have got more control over the path of their life than they realize. So it's really powerful stuff. So as always, thank you ever so much for your time. And I can't wait to have another conversation in the near future.
Thank you, John, and thank you for having me, and thank you for this opportunity. Have a lovely day.